Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome to the Mixed Up Sealed event. This is going to be a sealed format where we're busting open a bunch of random cards from any set on Arena. This is a Phantom event, so we don't keep any of the cards. So it's really just you're entering the event just for the fun of the gameplay. So definitely not a financially great thing to do for your 5,000 gold or 750 gems if you're trying to build your collection or anything. But if you just want to have some fun, it's a good time. And the cool thing about it this time around is they did give a sealed pass to this event to anybody who played in an Arena Open event. So anybody who went for it in the Arena Open Day 1, you get to play some Mixed Up Sealed just as an added bonus. So we'll be using that Mixed Up Sealed pass here. This event, as I said, is completely for fun. You get to play as much as you want with your sealed pool, and then you just leave whenever you're done. There's not even really any prizes for winning or losing. So we're going to bust open our sealed pool, see what kind of crazy nonsense we get to build and play around with today. And yeah, hopefully have some fun with the events. Post-recording Gauntlet here to mention something very cool. If you got the Mixed Up Sealed Pass that you get by playing in the Arena Open this weekend, that is infinite. So if you resign from the event after you're done playing with your first deck, you get to start another event for free. You just click on the Mixed Up Sealed Pass again and get a new sealed pool. So you can play as many different sealed pools as you want for variety's sake. You don't have to play with the same one every single time. You just get to keep playing them for free if you've got the Mixed Up Sealed Pass. So very, very cool extra bit of just bonus fun value for those who played in the Arena Open. So very worth mentioning that if you did play in the Arena Open. Definitely try it out. Let's bust open these mystery packs. Alright, well that's about to be expected. The rares are all over the place. We have a cycling synergy card with the Abandoned Sarcophagus, Shaper's Sanctuary, which works if your opponent is targeting your stuff. These two are probably pretty much unplayable. But we also have the OG Settle the Wreckage, which has been devastating people in Arena since its introduction, exiling all attacking players, I wish. All attacking creatures target player controls. They get to tutor a bunch of lands and put them into play, but you can get a one-sided board wipe out of that, so that's really cool. We also have a Lion Sash, another powerful white rare here, being able to exile cards from your graveyard to become bigger, and you can even reconfigure this to equip it to your other creatures to make those bigger. We've got a very fun blue-red build around card here. We're going to want to play a deck with a lot of instants and sorceries to run this card. If we do, then we get to basically make it so as our creatures die, we're getting 4/4s out of them. So that's an interesting one. Really hard to cast though, so probably won't make the cut if we're trying to play these white rares. And then we've got a Samurai/Warrior build around, so another pretty narrow card that probably won't do, but we've got some really good white rares. We'll see what kind of cool commons and uncommons we have and what we get to build. So let's take a look at our multicolored, our colorless, and our mana fixing here. And wow, we actually have some incredible mana fixing. We have Waterfront District, Swiftwater Cliffs, Rakdos Guildgate, Golgari Guildgate, Wooded Ridgeline, and Alpine Meadow. A bunch of mana fixing lands as well as an Archway commons, which can be a mana of any color. Also got a Gold Vein Pick that can produce treasure tokens as you're hitting your opponent. And that is it. These colorless cards are not the greatest, but the Stonework Pack Beast can theoretically do some mana fixing. As for multicolored cards, there are two that could lead us to want to go in their directions. There's a Maya Bredegard Protector. It's a pretty powerful bomb, being able to create 1/1s every time you play a land. And Markov Waltzer, which is a very strong aggressive card. So those are two cards that could push us in those directions. And if we go in the green-white direction, we could also use this Broker's Charm, a very flexible spell. Can be card advantage or removal, whatever you need at the time. So let's check out our individual colors now, but keeping an eye out for maybe some Boros aggro or some good Selesnya stuff. Alright, looks like we have a ton of white cards in here, which is a good sign because white has our strongest rares, the Settle the Wreckage and the Lion Sash, as well as the potential multicolored cards, the good Markov Waltzer and Maya both being in white. We've got a decent removal spell here, Intercessor's Arrest. We've got another pretty big bomb on Sarah's Wings, turning any creature into a flying vigilance lifelink creature with an additional power and toughness now. So that is huge. There are some very filler cards that we would not play, like Gathering Throng. We only have the 1 copy, so that's not going to do anything. Pterodon Knight, we're not going to have any dinos. That's just a 4-mana 3/3. Not really going to be worth it. Loxodon Restore might be a little slow. Planar Ally might be a little slow. Squad Captain, a bunch of kind of slow stuff at the high mana costs that don't seem great. But Vulpikeet might be fine. Slap this onto an Equipment Cat. Put this on a Lion Sash is a pretty good synergy. Put this on the Core Blade Master. That's a really good synergy. 2 mana, 1/1 double strike. Turn 3. Turn it into a Vulpikeet. I guess it doesn't keep the double strike anymore if we put the Vulpikeet on top, so that's a little awkward. But if we put Vulpikeet on bottom, we get a counter on it. Yeah, I guess that doesn't work exactly how I wanted it to. Been a while since I played around with Mutate. Oh wait, no, yeah it does. You mutate it on top or under. They mutate into the creature on top plus all abilities from under it. Okay, so you do maintain all abilities from the creature under, so you can put a Vulpikeet on top of a Core Blade Master and then have a 3/4 flying double strike, which is nuts. So that's nice. Definitely roll with that. If we mutate onto the Hero of the Pride, we've now cast a spell that targets it, so our board gets +1/+0. This is some really cool synergies out of our white cards here. Pretty certain I'm going to run white as the core of the deck. Maybe splash in red and green, but probably some combination of those. Our white is really, really cool stuff. Taking a look at our blue just to be thorough. Not a lot of blue cards here, but we do have some good ones. Lantern Bearer, Mistcloak Herald for good sheep. Hard to block cards. Kelpie Guide is pretty flexible. Kind of a nice card. And some okay interactions. Some good counter spells like Bar the Gate, Saw It Coming. Disdainful Stroke's probably good in this format as well. But nothing super exciting really pushing us to the color, so unlikely to make the cut. Moving on to black, this looks like another color that has plenty just filler cards in it, but nothing incredibly good, and the synergy is not really here. We've got some random cards like Lurking Chupacabra that are just terrible because there's no other Explorer cards. Some bad discard spells like Divest. Mind Rot's kind of okay in sealed, but probably still wouldn't play it. Probably wouldn't play the Scarring, so black is very, very average, kind of similar to the blue. Like, it's not the worst in the world, but there's just no big reason to play it outside of pretty good removal. Murder plus Strangling Spores plus Consign to the Pit, so probably not headed in that direction either. Taking a peek at our red here, we have a lot of cards in red. The question is, how strong are they? We have Chandra's Triumph for a very good, efficient removal spell. Not in love with Crackling Emergence or Sudden Breakthrough, nor Active Treason unless I'm wildly aggressive. Tybalt's pretty alright, though, make a couple devils there. As for creatures, Pyromancer's a very good aggro card. Fireweaver probably doesn't do anything, but maybe. Igneous Cur's an okay little fire-breathing threat, not super exciting. Destructive Digger keeps you fueled even if you're flooding out, as does the Merchant of the Veil, so I like those. We could get a little bit of Warrior Tribal going on. We do have the red-white card that cares about Samurai and Warrior cards that you control. So maybe Expedition Champion makes the cut. We get a little bit of Warrior Tribal going on. That'd be weird, but possible. Then Momentum Rubbler does become pretty big, pretty quick. Needletooth Raptor's fine. Pyrespawn's fine. Red's pretty fine overall, I would say. Biggest reason to want to go red is that gold uncommon, the red-white one. And then last, but what looks to not be least, is our green. Looks like there's a ton of green cards and a bunch of large green creatures. Seems like probably where I want to be. Yep, green looks like a mountain of gigantic creatures. Now I'm probably not playing Shaper's Sanctuary or Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot, just very narrow cards. Wolf's Quarry as well. Not in love with that. Mammoth Growth's an okay trick, Prize Fight's an okay removal spell. But then looking at what we have in green, we get a Colossal Dreadmoffer, Giant Trampling endgame card. Kazandu Stomper, Giant Trampling Game Ender. Sheffet Monitor's really nice, because it's a very flexible card, where it is a 6-mana 6/5 if you draw it late game, and if you just draw it mid game, you can spend 4 mana, cycle it, draw a card, and put a basic land from your library onto the battlefield. So it's a good card to ramp into all of these 6-mana cards, so that's really nice. Wolf can Outcast can be a single-handedly pretty big creature, but without any other wolves or werewolves, we might not run it. Gnarled Sage is solid for the cost. Jiraga Visionary gives you that card draw, solid for the cost. Bunch of stuff that's just very solid for the cost. Nice landfall Venture into the Dungeon card here. So some kind of green-white landfall deck could be pretty nice with Maya and like Wandering Troubadour at the helm. Bunch of decent 2-drops as well. I really like Zoroform Hybrid because it is it's a 2-mana 2/2 that turns into the 6-mana 6/6 later in the game. So very flexible, very nice card. Similar kind of to the Root Walla from Dominar United if you've been playing that lately. So really, really good stuff in green. We're going to start looking at a potential green-white deck, maybe even with some red splashing. So let's see, again, what kind of dual lands we have. We do have a red-white dual land, a red-green dual land. We do not have a green-white. So we have good dual lands if we're going to play red, white, and green, but not necessarily good duels to help with just the green-white deck. Could play the Archway Commons if we want. Probably could play the Goldvein pick as well to help get some treasures. Can be okay on some cheap creatures and can help if we are going 3-color here. Pack Beast is probably actually okay in this deck if we end up playing Ryu Storm's Edge, which cares about the Samurai and Warrior we control. Be good on that path, because it also randomly mana fixes us sometimes. Okay, so that's our strongest multicolored and colorless cards in the deck. Throw in our strongest white cards. Settle the Wreckage for sure. I like the Core Blade Master Vulpikeet potential synergies, plus the Core Blade Master is a warrior, so put every warrior we have in. Shield Maid is a warrior. Trogskull Infantry is not, but it's a good card. Lion Sash is just a good card. Daneth is a great card. Intercessor's Arrest is great removal. On Sarah's Wings is a great bomb. Kind of it for like excellent white cards. Griffin's solid. Planar Ally could be okay if the games go really long in this format, which they might. Hero of the Pride if we're going really aggro. And same with like the little cheap combat tricks or cheap auras. Can be good if we're going very aggressive. And I guess this aura gives us an additional warrior, which is kind of funny. That could be useful. We'll keep that in mind. Looking at red, we would definitely play Chandra's Triumph, just cheap removal. But outside of that, the red isn't the greatest ever, so I almost feel like the red would be the splash, maybe like green-white at the core, using the red to play Markov Waltzer and maybe Ryu. That seems likely. Looking at green, we would definitely play Colossal Dreadmon, Gnarled Sage, Sheffet Monitor, Kazandu Stomper. Stomper's a really nice combo with Maya, because then once we hit the 6 mana, we play our biggest card in hand and pick up a couple lands, so that we know we can keep hitting landfall for Maya's landfall trigger. Works well with the Troubadour as well, so we'll toss that in there. Jiraga Visionary is just a very efficient card. Good card draw, good value. Hybrid is great. Druid of the Cowl definitely with all these late game cards is going to be a nice piece of ramp. And that's a 40-card deck right there. If we take a peek at this, I don't believe we actually have that many warriors, so we might not try to live the Ryu dream and just splash for the burn spell and the Markov Waltzer. Yeah, 4 warriors and 1 samurai. Doesn't feel like that makes the cut, so we drop the Ryu here. The red splash is just Waltzer and Triumph. We're at 17 creatures, so I'd love to put like another non-creature spell of some kind in here. Although the curve is a little weird. Now that we're not going warriors anywhere, Shield Mate might get the cut, because I'd like to have most of my creatures be able to get mutated by Vulpikeet, and this is a human. You cannot mutate on humans. Now every 2-drop is a non-human. Okay, we have 1 2-drop human, but everything else we can mutate, which is nice. Pack Beast is definitely worse when we don't care about the warriors anymore. Most of our creatures are non-humans, so Vulpikeet seems pretty good. Daneth is great, On Sarah's Wings is great, yeah. cut the shield mate. Now we can put in like one creature, one non-creature of our choice out of green and white, ideally. But we can definitely check out red as well. Just one last check here. Make sure there's nothing incredible that we aren't playing, but I don't think there is. Bunch of fine cards. Tybalt, like maybe. Momentum Rumbler, maybe. Yeah, nothing phenomenal. So we could play Prize Fight in green. We do have some pretty big creatures, and this gives us a treasure token to hit our off-color red cards. Prize Fight, probably the last non-creature card that we're putting in this deck. That seems pretty legitimate in here. We don't have great mana fixing to run this Broker's Charm. I guess that is an option as well. Looking at white now, we just want another random white creature. 3-drop would be perfect on the curve, because we only really have 2. We have a Vulpikeet and a Danitha, but I don't think we have like any good 3-mana cards in green or white. I guess a 3-mana 3/3 is not bad. Just a 3-mana 3/3 on curve just to fit it in there. I don't have enough enchantment creatures for Bearer of Memory to do anything. I think it's our only enchantment creature. So Marasa Brute would just be the best 3-mana card if we want another 3-drop. I feel like Hero of the Pride is probably going to be better. Have a ton of 2-drops curving out. And it's another great one to put a Vulpikeet onto. Turn 2, Hero of the Pride. Turn 3, send it into the sky, buff the whole field for the turn. Hit for a good amount of damage. Hero of the Pride makes a lot of sense in here. I think I like that a lot. But then maybe we cut the Pack Beast to put in the random 3-drop. That actually seems okay. Yeah, I'll cut the Pack Beast, throw in the 3-mana 3/3, just whatever. Get that in the deck. And this looks like a really fun Selesnya deck. Just green-white deck here with a little bit of a red splash. We've got some bangers. We've got Settle the Wreckage on Sarah's Wings, stuff like that. Yeah, I'm going to build this mana base, and we're going to do the deck overview and get into the gameplay. Alright, here's a look at our final mixed-up sealed deck we'll be playing with. This is a Selesnya aggro deck at its core, with a little splash for a couple very good aggressive red cards, the Markov Waltzer and the Chandra's Triumph. Looking at our green-white cards, we just have a really good curve of a ton of powerful 2-mana creatures to get things started, a ton of creatures that are great targets for Vulpikeet to mutate onto and really get in there for early damage. We've also got some other great ways to kind of make our creatures even better, like Goldvein Pick getting equipped, or the On Sarah's Wings that can really make anything a deadly threat. Got some very good creatures late game in the curve as well, just some big tramplers like Kazandu Stomper, Colossal Dreadmaw. The Maya Bredegard Protector can just make an army of 1/1s as well as buffing everything else on our board. Just looks like a really fun, really great deck all around. We even have the original Settle the Wreckage, absolutely ruining opponents' dreams since the launch of Magic Arena. So without further ado, let's head into the gameplay and see how this deck does. Alright, here we are in game 1 of our mixed up sealed. Turn 3 Danitha is a little hard to pass up on. We do have a ton of 2-mana creatures, so it's a little sad not opening up with a turn 2 2-mana creature play. But even without that, this hand looks pretty powerful. We've got a great cheap creature, we have interaction here in the middle, a removal spell, and we have the great late game play. Ooh, now we even have a turn 4 play, the Wandering Troubadour, which is very good with Kazandu Stomper, because if we run out of land drops, when we cast the Stomper, we can pick up a couple so that we can keep hitting the landfall trigger for our Dragon Bard friend. Playing against blue, red, and green, and a Renegade map, they are going to take the excellent mana fixing that they opened up in their sealed pool and run with it here. Maybe even a 5-color deck we're playing against, that could be pretty cool. Danitha might not be long for this world. Our opponent is eyeing her very closely. Alright, white, red, green, and blue mana at the ready, and a Renegade map as well. Wingshield Agent here is pretty unfortunate. Danitha is not good at attacking into that because of the shield counter. I could either play the Troubadour and venture into the dungeon here, venturing into the Lost Mine of Phandelver to scry one, or I can just Intercessor's Arrest the 2/3 if it's that annoying to me. I think I would rather start getting the dungeon value here. and save that Intercessor's Arrest for next turn, potentially. So we're going to go into the Lost Mine of Phandelver. That's the best dungeon to go into the vast majority of the time. It is just the most initial payoff, as well as just being consistent value at like any floor of the dungeon. The first dungeon takes a lot more work, the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, before you get too much good stuff out of it. And the third dungeon is if you're going really, really aggressive and you want players to be losing life. So those come up a lot less often. Edifice of Authority here, incredible card from Hour of Devastation, well, from Amonkhet technically, from Amonkhet Remastered now. Basically an Icy Manipulator. It's going to get to lock down one of our attackers every turn and eventually lock down the ability to attack, block, or use abilities, so it's pretty rough. We're going to landfall for the Troubadour and play an Arrest here, so let's arrest the Agent, and then we'll play the Archway Commons as our land for the turn, so that we get to venture farther into the dungeon and get our tapped land out of the way to play our 6-drops next turn, probably playing Dreadmaw first. Okay, they're going to stop the 4-power creature from attacking, which makes sense. So we'll just hit for 2 and gain 2. And I think we want a 1/1 Goblin here, more than a treasure token. I've already got the mana to play all our 6-drops. We've got our red source thanks to the Archway Commons. Patchwork Automaton. So if they have a lot of artifacts in here, which they do have Renegade Map, Edifice of Authority, and Automaton, then that Automaton can get a lot of counters on it, and they did immediately play a Mobile Garrison to go along with it. Some very cool synergy coming from our opponent's deck. Now they've got a 2/2 to block with, but they can't spend the mana for the Edifice. They can crew the Garrison, which is an issue. I don't think I attack in at all here then. I think I just play the Dreadmaw and pass. Because if I attack in with Danitha, they crew the Garrison and ruin my day. If I attack in with Troubadour, it would trade into the Garrison or the Patchwork Automaton, but I would just like to keep getting dungeon value off of it instead. They're going to have a 3/4 Garrison to be blocking with, so a 3/3 Danitha is not actually that impressive of an attacker, so I'm not actually sure where I put this counter. I don't think I put it on Dreadmaw, but I definitely want the counter over the 1 life drain. Maybe I just put it on the Troubadour so it's less likely to die to removal. Just a little higher toughness. But yeah, the counter on the Danitha or the Troubadour, however you're supposed to say that word, doesn't make either of them big enough to attack into the Garrison without dying. But at least this one attacks into the Garrison and trades, I guess. So, if they don't use any interaction, our plan is to play Kazandu Stomper next turn to pick up 2 lands, replay one of them so that we get to venture into the dungeon again to draw a card, just keep getting value off of our Dragon Bard friend. And we get to start attacking with Dreadmaw. If they, oh wow. Worked out really well we put the counter on the Troubadour, because otherwise they would have blown up Danitha and Troubadour. That would have been really bad. Yeah, if they don't have the mana for Edifice, we get to start attacking with Dreadmaw. If they do... Ooh. Prize Fight means I think we actually get to attack with the Troubadour. I won't get to cast Kazandu Stomper anymore, which means I won't actually be playing a land this turn, but I think it's still worth it. So we move to combat. Then we declare the attack with the Troubadour. I'm going to have to look this word up just in the middle of this game. And then they're going to try to crew Garrison, and I'll blow it up before they can block. Uh-oh, they've got another trick here. Okay, it's not a good enough trick. So we will hit for 5, play my 3/3, and we'll pass the turn, and I'm going to Google how to say Troubadour.
Troubadour. Troubadour.
Why is it Troubadour?
Troubadour.
Why am I saying it correctly, but it sounds incorrect? It is a French word. Troubadour. Alright, okay. If you want to know how to say words in French, just change R to E. Okay. Edifice of Authority is almost 2/3 counters. Can still stop attackers. Probably just playing Stomper post-combat. They might have a combat trick here. That's what they were holding mana up for. I think even if they have a combat trick, it's okay to lose the Troubadour at this point. Resculpt. Okay, turn something into a 4/4. Kill the Brute without losing a creature. That's pretty good. Alright, here's a big old Stomper. They have really good mana fixing. They've got a Triome as well. That's pretty sick. Stomper putting in work. Landfall synergies with the Troubadour. We'll draw a card. More lands? I am all good with that if the Troubadour does not die. Seagate Colossus. That's a big old 7/5, but our opponent's at 8 life now, and they can't afford to use the Edifice of Authority, and they're just going to scoop them up right there. We were in a board state where if we attack with these two, they have to go block, block, which means we trample over for 3 damage there, which means if we attack with everybody, that's a trample over for 3, putting them to 5, so we attack with those two, plus Troubadour and the 2/2, and we would hit them to -2 life, so that is going to be a great game to start it off. We're going to be 1-0. Technically, since there's no very clear stopping point in this event, you get to play just as much as you want. I'm just going to play for about an hour here, I think. So it's about as long as a normal draft or sealed event would be. Just get a bunch of games in with this deck, as long as it feels fun. I want to do a Vulpikeet thing one game. I want to make a double striking Vulpikeet. That's going to be the goal for the day. Alright, we're on the play with great 2-drops and removal. We'll play the infantry first because this one's much more expendable, giving us an ability once it's in our graveyard. The hybrid we actually want to still be on board by turn 6. So we'd like to try to keep that around if we can. Opponent starts with Broker's Hideout. They gain a life, tutor out an island. Now we've got a good curve, 2-drop creature into 3-drop creature with removal backup still. Opponent is on blue-white into a Bishop Soldier. That is a very good card. I will offer the trade. 2/2 that gives us value in the grave for their 2/2 lifelink. They do not take the trade, so we'll play our 3-mana 3/3. Blue, white, and black from our opponent Esper. They're going to defenestrate our 3/3. That is pretty fine with us because we've got plenty of bigger and better creatures potentially coming in the future. I'm going to hold up the 2/2 infantry to block the Bishop Soldier now because it is not going to race whatsoever with a life linker. We'll keep a Colossal Dreadmaw. I just need to hit one more land, which I could even hit off of the Lost Mine of Fandel, or I could just make a treasure token. Won't be able to cast Dreadmaw next turn, but the turn after that I can guarantee that I can by choosing the treasure token next turn. Aerial Engineer, potentially a 4/4 flyer. That I think is scary enough. I kind of want to just play hybrid and arrest that. Otherwise that could become a 4/4 flyer. Ruinin Made. Could attack with infantry there. The storeroom is so good. I'm tempted to go to the Goblin Lair just so I can hop into the storeroom. Then if I don't hit a land next turn, that's going to be pretty devastating, though. Land is very important here. Yeah, I hate not going to the storeroom, but I think just knowing that I have 6 mana next turn is good. I guess if I don't hit a land next turn, I can still cast the majority of the spells in my library, so most of my non-land draws would be solid plays to play instead. 3/5 Ceratops that gains life every time it's dealt damage, every time they block. Unfortunately, we did hit the land. A little awkward, but we do get to go farther into the dungeon then. But yeah, I think I'm just slamming down Dreadmaw. Or I can just make Hybrid a 6/6. Either's pretty good. I'll actually make Hybrid a 6/6 here. That is instant speed, so we can ruin their blocks. They try to do anything spicy. Okay. I'm pretty okay with this. I actually should have ordered that differently. Because yeah, they don't actually kill this. Yeah, no, I should have reordered that. I don't know why it auto-ordered to put the 3-5 in the back. I guess it was not accounting for the it was not accounting for the adapt. Clicked a little too fast there. I definitely in my head had it that we were going to kill the Ceratops. But that is not how I clicked. Cridle of Baldur's Gates. They can make one of their creatures unblockable every turn. And every time they hit us, we lose a life, they gain a life, and we mill a card. Okay. We have a 6/6 here, and they have 5 power. We definitely get to attack with the hybrid. I guess they'd have 6 power if they sack the Puzzle Knot. They lose a lot of their board, though. So they chump block, and we'll play a Dreadmaw. I think we would be in a pretty unstoppable position here if I played this better and we actually killed the Ceratops. I feel like they still have a shot here, though, and I don't think they should. I guess if I killed the Ceratops, they'd have a 2/2 lifelinker they could keep giving unblockable. But I guess they only give one creature unblockable every turn. Yeah. Ooh, Talkrop Elite, that's scary. We get to go farther, we get to draw a card in our end step now. And we have a reach creature to play, so we should be fine. Send the 6/6s in. Opponent's still at 26, but not for long. Dreadmaw hits for 6, and here's the Gnarled Sage to block the Elite. We'll draw the card off the Troubadour. We've now completed a dungeon. Spicy. Send in the Cridle with unblockability again. Keep milling us here. Gaining a little bit of life. No, Kazandu Stomper would have been such a sick draw here. Another 6 power Trampler. Oh, they are over it though. They just keep scrying into nonsense that they are disinterested in. So we are going to win that game just by having multiple 6/6s and a 4/4 and them just not finding the good blockers. So it'll be 2-0 in the mixed up sealed event. Excellent work from the Wandering Troubadour, the Frenchman. Alright, on the play with turn 2 Core Blade Master. Let's top deck a Vulpikeep. We have all 3 of our colors of mana as well, thanks to the Alpine Meadow here. Okay. I mean, Blade Master with Lion Sash is kind of cool. That's pretty incredible. And Lion Sash costs 1 less when we have Daneth on board. Synergy everywhere. Unstoppable synergy. Satyr's Cunning. 1/1 Satyr that cannot block. Okay, that's pretty fine by us. Our first strikers and double strikers are pretty excellent against 1 toughness creatures. There's Daneth, and now Lion Sash is 1 mana. Could you imagine if this was just printed as 1 mana? That'd be an incredible card. It's already pretty great. Wanderlight Spirit that also cannot block. That can only block creatures with flying. So we are just jamming in all day here. Can even make Daneth a double strike by equipping. Oh, equipped warriors. Daneth is not a warrior. Dang. Marasa Brute's a warrior. Do I just play Lion Sash Marasa Brute here? Probably. We know they can't block with anything. Marasa Brute Lion Sash, I think, is what I'm going to do. Potentially have a double striking Marasa Brute. That warrior body. Can exile their Satyr's Cunning from their graves so they can never escape it as well. Everything's coming up gauntlet. Alright, send in. First strike away the thingamabob. I guess if they have a combat trick here, it's not worth it. We're taking 3 damage. We have lifelink on the board. It's not worth playing into the combat trick, I think. 1 mana to exile a card from a grave. It's a white mana. So we reconfigure to the Marasa Brutes. Scattered Thoughts. Okay, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10. They're not just dead, but they are close. Actually, no, they are, because now we can exile permanents. Exile 2 permanents they just put in their grave. That's 10 power of double strike. I think that's still like 1 damage off. I'm still gonna do it anyway though, because it's double strike with a bunch of extra counters. We might as well exile the escape card. I have nothing else I can afford now. We put them to 1. Oh no, it's Exactsies. Okay. All right, that was an incredible curve there. Really lucky our opponent just had creatures that could not block. That was pretty brutal for them, but the synergy Danitha so that we could cast a Lion Sash for only 1 mana. Core Blade Master, making it so our equipped warriors have double strike with the Troll Warrior, with the Lion Sash as equipment to give it double strike, and then opponent mills the 2 permanents needed to make the Brute a 5 power double strike to hit for 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 exactly. Brutally strong attack there, and some really cool stuff from this mixed up sealed run. Next game, we have an excellent hand mana-wise, as well as having big late-game bombs. No plays of our own till turn 3, but just a 3 mana 3/3 has been playing pretty well in this format. Alright, opponent starts with a swamp into a bronze sword. They've got their own equipment going on. We've got a Danitha, so we have another great mid-range creature here. Another 3-drop. Opponent is on black and white, and they are going to pass the turn. Alpine Meadow, definitely the play here. Get the tapped land out of the way while I don't have anything to do with my mana. And that gives us the second white source we need for Maya on turn 5. Turn 3 from our opponent. Still no plays from them. We'll drop down the Marasa Brute first, I think. On an empty board state, I'm a slightly bigger fan of just playing a 3/3 than a 2/2 with a bunch of great abilities, especially because we have Prize Fight that just wants high power and toughness. This card does not really care about any keyword abilities like Danitha has. We just want high stats to be able to prize fight more creatures. We'll definitely play Danitha next turn, though. Combat Professor. Alright, prize fight it is. Prize fight into Danitha for the turn. Lion Sash, though. I could play Danitha and Lion Sash on the turn. But I'm definitely going to kill this thing. A 4-mana 3/3 Flying Vigilance. Already a massive threat all by itself. And it can give other creatures +1/+0 Vigilance. Doesn't even have to target itself, so just a very good card. So I'm happy to just get that off the board here. Miniature Sarah Angel. At worst, Combat Professor was a great card from Strixhaven. Alright, opponent does not have any plays this turn, so we'll just try to play Maya pre-combat to buff our power toughness. We are shields down here, but we're adding extra damage to the board. It's not like we have any shields anyway. Everything in our hand is just more creatures. So, no way to play around removal anyway, so just make the strongest board state we can. Spirited Companion, another great one from our opponent. 2 mana 1/1 draws them a card when they play it. Very good little value play. Unfortunately, that looks like it's going to be it for them, and we've drawn On Sarah's Wings, which is incredible. Attempt to throw the Marasa Brute on some wings here. Because I don't really want to load one of these up with the On Sarah's Wings. I don't want to make one incredibly massive target for removal. But I guess no matter what I put it on, that is the removal target. So if they have Infernal Grasp or something, they're going to kill the Brute. For sure. Shepherd of the Flock. That's very nice with the card draw that creature can give them. Play the Sash and pass the turn. But feels like our opponent doesn't have much of a shot here after such an aggressive curve. They'll need a board wipe. They do have a board wipe, all right. That'll give them a chance here. I do get to exile a card from a graveyard. I'll exile a Combat Professor, why not? That'll clear the board, but I still have Kazandu Stomper. And I guess I could just threaten to have some kind of trick here. Be like, ooh, I could have a 1 white mana protection spell that I needed to hold the mana up for. My opponent doesn't have a follow-up removal spell. Stomper likely finds lethal here. I guess I played it out a little too hard. This is mixed up sealed. It can be cards from any set ever, so I probably overcommitted to the board a little bit. There's probably a decent amount of board wipes when you consider that you can open cards from any set on Arena. So probably should have just held on to the Lion Sash last turn. Had a little bit more for rebuilding our board state, but that's very close to lethal on board right now. Valor of the Worthy, that's enough toughness for them to kill the Stomper, and they could take over the game after that. We can put them to 2 life. That would make it so if I top deck my Hasting Flyer, I win. Or I can just pass. If I top deck a Vulpikeet, that's lethal. Chandra's Triumph is incredible. Got a lot of good top decks here. I think I probably have to just pass, unfortunately, but that's just going to put them in a position where now they can slap a Bronze Sword onto a Rallier and they can 1-for-1 trade into the Stomper. And this might be their recovery off of the Cleansing Nova. And the really sad part is that the Lion Sash would have been well over enough that turn. I would just drop Lion Sash, exile a bunch of stuff, and equip it to Stomper to make it enough power to kill them. Because I can exile my own permanents from my graveyard, and I had 1, 2, 3, 4 permanents in my grave. If Lion Sash weren't in there, so yeah, overcommitting to the board could cost us this game here. Still at 22 life, it's far from over, but we would have won by now had I kept the Sash. Alright, Blade Instructor. Colossal Dreadmaw is a very big one. A very big one. We now have 12 power, all with trample on our board, so they need to have at least 9 toughness. They currently have 5. They need to put 4 more toughness on their board, or cast a removal spell, or cast some life gain. That is some life gain, and it's more than 4 more toughness. So they are definitely not dead next turn now. Especially putting the Bronze Sword onto it. There's the Vulpikeet! We get to do Vulpikeet things, and we never didn't have it. They have no flyer, so we'll just slap it onto a Dreadmaw. Give the Dreadmaw flying. And attack in for 7. That's like 4-0 now, I think. About 47 minutes into the video, we'll do one more game after this with our mixed up sealed deck. But as you can see, it's just been running super hot. Really good stuff here. See if we can just be undefeated for like 5 games in a row. Heading into the final game of the video. The only thing that I really wanted to do here that I haven't gotten to do yet is cast a Settle the Wreckage. We technically didn't get to Vulpikeet onto a double striker, so I didn't get to do really cool Vulpikeet things, but I still just Vulpikeeted to victory that game. I think I have to mulligan here. I have no creature to slap the Sarah's Wings onto. No green source for the Brute. This is much better mana-wise. I think I might even get rid of Prize Fights, because it's not great with a bunch of 2 toughness creatures in hand. But yeah, I still, even though I didn't get to do a double striking flying Vulpikeet, I did get to do a lot of work with our double strike card by making a different creature just massively ridiculous and double striking. So we still got to use both of those cards individually very well, which was cool. So everything really got its time to shine, except for Settle the Wreckage now. Probably rather play Hybrid right now, because Lion Sash isn't gonna... It's gonna just be one more power on the board for a good amount of time. Rubble Slinger, awkward, but Vulpikeet is a very good draw here. For now, I'm going to play the Troubadour and start getting value, but with Vulpikeet, we can make sure we have a threat that's big enough to attack into that 2-3 reach. I don't actually want that land right now. Might want it later, but if I do end up wanting it later, I can treasure token as soon as I hit one more land. Actually, wait. With Troubadour on board, I should have just scryed into the land. Because I get value every time I play a land, too, so it's actually just solid. Mutate a Vulpikeet onto the Troubadour. That does make one of our cards a very clear target for removal, but it still feels pretty powerful. Start hitting for 5 a turn. I really should have kept that land. That was a very bad scry. Very loose play for me. That land would have been great this turn. What land was it? Was it green source? So I couldn't have cast another spell this turn, but I could have gotten a treasure in the end step, then we'd have 6 mana ready next turn. Yeah, very poor decision there. Double block here. I'm quite a bit of mana away from... the hybrid becoming a 6/6. And then we just load everything onto one Troubadour and just pray. 5 mana. I can play 3 for Danitha. I don't have a second white source though, so I can't Danitha Sash. I can Sash an equipment, but I can't put any counters on it because there's no more white sources. I could just throw an infantry onto Troubadour and pray for no removal. Whatever. All in. All in. Troubadour all day. We've cast Troubadour in almost every game, so we're just going for it. All in on the Troubadour. All day long. Treasure token lets us cast both of these white spells next turn, no matter what we draw into. But storeroom for +1/+1 counter feels pretty good. A goblin helps us go a little wider. I don't know, I'm gonna get the treasure. Let's see. Feel like if they had removal, they would have used it by now, unless they couldn't afford it. So fingers crossed. Still no removal. And then if we can find removal for the Slinger, we just win with Troubadour. Oh, I was going to say attacking both means they definitely have removal, sadly. But then they didn't attack with the Slinger. Okay, we don't have removal for the Slinger, but we can certainly attack with the Troubadour. And now I can actually Danitha and Lion Sash. So I'll do that. I'm going to do it pre-combat so I can put the Lion Sash onto the Troubadour potentially. And then I can use the treasure token to exile a card from graveyard to get 1 extra toughness if it matters. Like if they have a 3 damage burn spell off their treasure token or something weird like that, then I can use the Lion Sash in response. They have 2 1/1s out. I think I just drain them for a life. Rather than making a 1/1 0 power creature till end of turn. Alright, more treasure from Glittermonger. Ooh, Chef at Dunes. I like that card a lot. Ugin! Oh no! Oh, we just lose. Every permanent we have is a colored permanent, so they exile everything except their treasure and my treasure. Oh my god. Yep, Eugene is that kind of limited card. Where it's like, oh, I guess every turn before now did not matter. Opponent has Eugene, so opponent wins the game. Well, that's a pretty explosive way to end up the mixed to end off the mixed up sealed. It's pretty incredible. They've got Cloudkin Seer too. That's a great value play. The original Angelic Overseer. Very, very good card. Chandra's Triumph. Can't kill Eugene anymore. If I drew that one turn sooner, I could. But yeah, I'm just mega dead now. Eugene's got a +2 to do 3 damage to any target. They're just sitting there with a second Wrath effect if anything bad happens. Could play a 6/5. And they just -6. They could have a counterspell easily by now. They have 4 cards they're not playing. I mean, it's still definitely better to play this than to cycle it. Gotta make them have it. Yep, counterspell, draw a card. Eugene. The Spirit Dragon. It looks like they had a pretty good, like, blue control value core to their deck. They drew it late enough that it definitely wouldn't have won them the game without Eugene, but I could have seen losing this matchup. Had they drawn better and didn't draw the Ugin, we could have just lost to blue control stuff. That was definitely not going to happen this game, but I don't gotta feel too bad about losing this deck. It's not all Ugin. They built a very nice deck as well. It's not just Ugin or bust. I will destroy if I must. They've got the ultimate now too. Then gain 7, draw 7 cards, put 7 permanents from their hand onto the battlefield. Kind of just still in it to let our opponent play all their fun things. There's nothing in our deck that's gonna change the course of this game. Nothing in our deck was gonna change the course of the game post Ugin. Unless we hit Triumph 1 turn sooner. Wow, they've got the Feat of Resistance too. They just have it all in the end. Well, pretty explosive way to end the mixed up seal. Just get absolutely devastated by an Ugin. But that's part of mixed up seal. That's part of the fun. It's completely random what you could open up. You could even open up one of the best cards on the entirety of Arena. Overall, had a really fun time with this event. Really fun little synergies here that all just kind of popped up at different times. The whole Maya Kazandu Stomper thing happened once where we got to pick up our land, replay it for Maya. That was really cool. Did that with Troubadour a lot. A lot of Troubadours were getting cast. So that was cool. On Sarah's Wings ended some games. That really cool kind of double striking game going on with the Core Blade Master and the Lion Sash getting equipped to our other warrior, our Marasa Brute. That was a super cool one. We got to win games off Vulpikeet, Mutate stuff. Got to play pretty much everything except like the Markov Waltzer and the Settle the Wreckage. So overall, we got to play everything, got everything a time to shine, and had a really nice win rate here. We were 4-1, won every round except that against the Ugin the Spirit Dragon. So cool event, very fun time. Definitely recommend hopping into it if you already paid for the Arena Open anyway. Might not be worth it if you have to pay the full entry fee of 5,000 gold or 750 gems just for the fun of the event. No extra rewards or anything. Might not be worth it. But if you played the Arena Open, you get an entry to the events just in addition to your Arena Open prizes. So definitely check it out. It was a cool format. So that is going to end the video for today. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed playing it. And as always, thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you all again soon for some more Magic Arena.